Do remember that we have a YouTube that you can watch them on. And what are we going to talk about? There's lots to talk about. We're going to do a live, what do you call it, a presentation sometime in September. And it's to this wonderful raw foods group. And it's like, well, what can we bring to the table to help them? And it has a lot to do with nourishing the body, but not just through diet and exercise. They used to say, the research says that 87% of illnesses that plague us today are direct results of your thought life. And only 13% of illnesses are attributed to diet, genetics, and environment. And that's by Dr. Carol Leaf. And I thought that was very interesting that 87%, and you know, I talk many times about how it's our thoughts. But a lot of people don't realize that it's the things they, oh, do I talk out loud? Is that what really affects it? Well, thoughts usually are when we are self-talk, when our mouth is shut and we're thinking. We have learned to survive in such surroundings, whether it is a harsh surrounding or even if it's a good surrounding. But a lot of times what ends up happening is the denigration. And what is denigration? Any of you?
It's just the negative, it's the barrage. It's not just one or two thoughts, it's a barrage of thoughts, the self-talk that we do to condemn I'm thinking of myself, but we also do it to others. We denigrate others, we denigrate ourselves. Looking in the mirror, getting ready to do even just this show, putting on makeup and that kind of thing. What's all that self-talk going through my head, and is any of it denigrating? And then looking at the world around me, oh, sitting in a place of judgment. Oh, look at that, look at them, look at this, look at that. Just all of that.
I have a chart that I use, and it has the meridians on it, and then I have words that help define each meridian of the emotion that gets trapped. And the emotions come from when you create a thought, and the thought then creates a chemical peptide, which then allows you to feel. And as soon as you feel, you recognize it by calling it an emotion. Well, we start out as babies. We start out as consciousness, to really, if you want to put it that way. And as we start out as consciousness, we have, as we develop, there is the in and out of the womb that we do, the experiencing that we have with our environment. And we have sensory systems so we can play with that. But when we start out in the womb, we have consciousness, and we have, I believe, I'm not sure if feeling comes into play until after we've kind of started to grow, because our bodies go through so much metamorphosing stage from liquid to solid, like a butterfly. But during that time,
your ability to get a good night's sleep, and that would be, wait for it. Vegetarian. Okay, so it is. So it must be what we're talking about right now, about the nourishment. And it says a new way of eating, but it's also a new way of nourishing. Besides low magnesium. So maybe that's part of it. If this vegetarian card comes up, it's a way of nourishment, and she's answering herself with magnesium.
okay, so I would like to just then look at, if that's the case, what's projecting it so she has a low magnesium. And that has to do with, now, hopefully you won't take offense, the area that I'm looking at is you looking at your mother and judging her harshly that when you're inside the womb you couldn't receive the nourishment required. And so sometimes when you are looking at her, so the question is, what are you judging about? You feel like she dishonored you. That is a very high priority in your life, that you make sure you honor people and you be honored. That actually when you go to take, and if you took magnesium, it may not go into the places that your body needs it in.
So what you were just talking about, the honoring of people, there was some show where she was talking about how people text and visiting her in person, and that's about the honoring. So that may be part of the continued program of if she saw her mom not honoring.
Yes, like for instance, I feel like there's animosity between her and her mother. Not sure if that's true or not, but it is part of the bloodline. No, not the bloodline. It has to do with the mother. It's the way that she, how she perceived it through the feeling state. And so even when somebody's texting in front of her and they are still honoring her, but she doesn't understand it, she reads it as she feels that they're not giving her what she needs. So it's about that nourishing thing again. So if I were going to have her repair this, it would be about how the self-talk in her head that makes her feel better when she corrects them. I am so sorry. It sounds like a negative reading.
Well, she said the mom part, not sure about the womb, but she definitely gave me a bunch of crap to wade through.
Okay, and so it is very much that you had to stand to be judgmental towards many things, and that
She
causes
said don't worry about the type of reading.
Okay, good.
These are answers.
Okay, I just hope that... My husband just turned a fan on. I'm hoping that the telephone does not pick it up as sound, or as like a wind or a white noise. If it is, let us know. We will change it. It's okay. All right, good. Thank you. Okay. So the key part is honor, and the reason why they're bringing that up is because it's your egg. It's your protective shield, the front and the back, the governing and the central meridian that protects you from everybody around you. So when you pick up that signature from anybody, you start to freeze and then you want to fight because it totally stops you from functioning as whatever it is you're doing at that moment. And she applies this to guys too. Now the reason why is because the guys carry that signature.
Of the mom?
Yes, because you got to project somebody to do it for you. And if you don't have your animals or your best friends or your family, you got to have somebody. But she normally sees it through. Well, I don't want to say just guys because I saw somebody else in mind that we actually know in common that kind of throws that energy out there. That now it makes more sense. It's like, for instance, they have to be right, and she doesn't have the say in anything. It's like whatever she says, even if she's got documented proof that says, oh look, it says right here that it's not that you're wrong and I'm right, it's just that means there's another option, you know, and they're like, no, that doesn't exist in my world. So it ends up shutting her voice down, which then shuts down why she would have to mumble under her breath. And it's part of, that's what you don't want to receive. But you keep projecting certain people to present that to you.
So you can heal it.
So you can heal it. So if we were going to have you heal it, then I would highly suggest, now see it goes R2S, and that is your alarm system. It's like it's on too much. So we'll have to calm down the alarm system. And then if we were going to heal the topic, then we'd go R2D because it's felt like an attack. So let me explain this. The lady that was here today, the main thing that was happening in her world was, why do I, what was it she did? The thing that came up was disgraced, and it was for me that I had to heal, but then what she had to heal was, why is it that her stomach hurts her? And it was based on the fact that the energy of the person that's in the room, and it's just equated to nausea, to the situation that happened in the past, and it was all about how you were witnessing the energy, waiting for the attack. And it wasn't physical attack, it was not liking who you are. So what ended up happening, how do we want to put this? The situation occurred where somebody said, well, I don't need to heal that. And I said, oh, that's fine, you don't have to. And then when I touched them, they're like, well, I hope you washed your hands. And I said, my hands were washed. I wash them before I have any personal session with people. And I'm like looking at this, and it's that energy of how I'm going to respond to them. Because the session was basically over. And so that person was in a different mindset. And we end up creating a fresh experience where she feels the chaos because she doesn't want people's germs. She judged them so much about how people are, you know, could germify her, cause her to be sick or whatever, that literally when I just touched her, she was like, ew. And then she's telling me that, no, you know, you need to have your hands washed. And I'm thinking, and so my reaction is what got her the most, because it put her in combat mode. I don't know if that makes any sense, because I can't really reveal too much about the story. It is, but it was simply my reaction that she was waiting for, that was going to attack and contradict what she believed in. And I'm like, ugh. Okay, so when that happens, there's a lot to heal. And I projected her to heal because my story came up about me being a kid, and pretty much we lived on a dead-end road, live in a trailer, and so basically I didn't realize that people called us white trash. But I could pick up the energy. Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, so the past vibrations, I consciously don't think that about anything about me. I would have never really thought that. But the strange feeling about with this lady, I asked what was this projecting. It was disgraced. It was based on 5 years old. And now as the adult, she's like, oh, you got cooties. And then I thought about it, you know, a couple incidences in school that maybe people didn't like me because I made to be cootified. So, long story short, I have some healing to do. Now, is there anything else that we need to do for Karen? No, she's pretty good. Just know that you have to understand that you got to heal R2S to calm that alarm system down, because you expected the energy to happen. Even if it's not happening, you're on your toes. And then R2D, that you feel the energy around you when the people start acting a certain behavior, the reaction they give you about how you're speaking, or you have an opinion, or you're being yourself, somebody's got to argue with you. And that feels like an attack. And we're glad to have you here. We're not sure about why the lag is. And the caller that was up next hung up. So we'll go right to the chat room.
Okay, so the person in chat who asked the question, this is for Desalin, so if you could participate, let us know if we're on track. Type in, say, you know, yes, no, if we're making the mark. So the question is, do you see my finances getting better in a long-term relationship?
So that's a two-part question, and so what we're going to do is we're going to look at the fact that her finances. She doesn't agree that her finances are good. And if that's the case, then what we're going to do is figure out why that is that way. The finances is that it's about dreaming.
Oh, a man.
Oh, man, sorry.
Okay.
So sorry.
Good to know.
But you're not able to dream. I guess the thing is that if you don't have the finances, then you really can't dream or support your dream, because it can get frustrating. I feel this frustration of, yeah, I do this, and all of a sudden I can't do this, and so it gets very much confusing. The other part of it is not having the self-esteem to follow through, or have the courage to start going after what you want and taking that risk. You know, but as far as finances go, here's the one thing that they're showing me is that, like, when you're doing a research paper, you want to learn about a certain subject, you start going after it. And before you know it, you start getting actually some good books and some good references and people talking to you. Somehow we get to apply that way that you attract in information is also the way you attract in money. And, you know, it's about that dreaming part. As far as the finances, why the finances have to be not as strong as you would like it to be, is that there is that pattern in the family, the money pattern, that you have to have a certain amount of grief. And you equate grief through money instead of having to have grief through loss and fighting. In this case, there's just not any money, which then would cause you to fight and freeze. So you're doing the pattern in reverse. Jen, what did you get?
I got the Swan card, which says that this represents a transformation from one state to another. From the ugly duckling to the beautiful swan, this signals a period of growth that will ultimately be life-changing. The swan says you may change so much that you may not recognize yourself in the end. So something that hits on that is that, oh my gosh, all this good stuff is happening, but if the programming is that I'm used to all that negative stuff, will I be able to accept the good stuff, or will I have to reject it so that I can continue in that pattern?